So thank you for joining us for another edition of Luther Manor's Employee Spotlight. My name is Nikki Bird. I'm the Senior HR Generalist here. In this segment, we're actually going to be celebrating Black History Month here at Luther Manor. To help me do that, we are going to be speaking with 4 of our senior clinical leaders. So can everybody just round robin go around and introduce yourselves and what you do here at Luther Manor?
My name is Lenita Williams. I am the Director of Nursing for the Healthcare Center at Luther Manor. I support the long-term care unit as well as our skilled nursing unit.
Hello, I am Karen Gibbs. I'm the Chief Clinical Officer and a Nursing Home Administrator. I oversee all the clinical program areas and I manage all these wonderful ladies.
Hi, my name is Karen Tucker. I'm the Director for Assisted Living over our Assisted Living program areas here at Luther Manor.
Hello, my name is Marquita Milton. I am the Director of Nursing for Luther Manor's Assisted Living. That does encompass 4 areas. So we're talking about the courtyards, River Oaks, that's in Mequon, the gardens, and also the terrace.
Awesome. So thank you all for joining me today to have this conversation. So Karen Tucker, I want to start with you. So you started at Luther Manor as a nurse manager for our assisted living areas. Then you were promoted to Assistant Director of Assisted Living and then promoted again to Director of Assisted Living. Can you kind of walk me through how you got started?
Well, I got started in 1995 as a CNA. My grandmother had Alzheimer's and she needed long-term care. So I went to CNA school, to get trained so I can learn some technique to take care of her. So that's where my passion comes from. So I did that for 7 years and then I went back and became an LPN.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Marquita, so you worked in a different facet of healthcare, if you will, before you came to Luther Manor. So what made you want to try senior living?
So for me, I always tell people it's the babies and the older adults for me. So I dabbled in both. For assisted living, I dabbled in that a whole lot, just in and out of it as, through my nursing career, and I found it to be the most rewarding. So in thinking about just where I wanted to end up as a leader, it's definitely had to be with the older population just because my heart's there.
So I love that. Okay. Lenita, so you did work with us before as a staff nurse. What made you actually want to come back to Luther Manor?
What made me decide to come back to Luther Manor was the culture that was at Luther Manor, the support that you get from within, the ability to excel to other levels within the organization, and just the staple that it holds in the community. We've been around for more than 65 years, and the reputation that it maintains, it supports my career.
That's awesome. Thank you. So Karen Gibbs, so as the Chief Clinical Officer, what do you look for from your leaders, and what is it that you expect from them in leading the Luther Manor employees?
Oh, Nikki, that's such a great question. What I look for in the leaders is our core values. I want them to be able to embody them. I have a leader that typically always shows us our core values. And our core values is being compassion, showing accountability for the good and the bad, and respecting all, knowing that everyone matters. We want to make sure that it's not just our residents, it's our employees, it's our vendors, it's our visitors, it's everyone matters. And then just understanding that this is a faith-based organization and that our service is and the services to God.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So my next question is going to be to the panel. What message would you like to share with someone aspiring to become a leader? Lenita, I'll start with you.
I would say be true to yourself and support your dreams. Look for a mentor, whatever you're deciding to do. As long as you align with that mentor and that organization, you can definitely elevate to the next level.
Thank you.
Yeah, I echo Lenita. Just to add on to that, I think leadership starts on your first day of hire. And you aspire to be that leader, work on those qualities and characteristics that you need, and be the best employee that you can be.
Thank you.
I would say just acknowledge that, being a leader, you're not going to be perfect, that you may make mistakes, and it's all a learning experience. And just be accountable. If you have questions, like she said, seek out that mentor, speak with that mentor, discuss your things that you may need assistance with building on so you can become the great leader that you would like to be.
Thank you. That's a really good point.
So I'm going to piggyback off of Karen Gibbs. I believe that if you want to be a leader, you should start being a leader right away, not just until you have that title, but putting yourself into uncomfortable situations, having crucial conversations, and just practicing. Like they say, fake it till you make it. So I believe that if you have those values and that's something you really want to do, start doing it now.
Oh, I love all of that. Thank you so much. So, one last question for you all. Who are your inspirations that help you to get to where you are today? So, Lydia, let's start with you.
My inspirations, I would say, started with my family. My mother was in healthcare. Several of my family members were in healthcare, as well as the leaders I've come across throughout my career. And most importantly, I don't know, can we say names on here?
We'll see why not. Yeah.
I had a mentor who kept me in healthcare, and her name was Pat Owens. Without her, I would not be here.
That's awesome. Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I had so many people that helped me throughout my journey, but the two that stand out for me is my mother. My mother, she's deaf and she has a disability, and just seeing her resilience and how she manages life and enjoys life was a great inspiration for me. And my second one is Cindy Bertinaire, and I don't think she knows this, but she was a chief nursing officer, and I was going through a tough family situation, and she took the time when she was around there. First of all, she recognized that I was different, and she took the time just to talk to me about that situation and gave me some, food for thoughts and things that I can do to help myself in that situation. And so what stood out to me, first of all, is that she was an African American senior leader. So not seeing so many of minorities in that senior leadership role, it was wonderful to see someone that looked like me. And then secondly, her servant leadership, that she took the time. I was a brand new nurse, and she took the time just to speak with me. So I look at what she's doing now, not stalking her, but I'm looking at what she's doing now, and I'm so impressed by her leadership that I want to be that servant leader as well.
So, for sharing.
Well, like I said, my motivation came from my grandmother and my mother. I got started because my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and now I'm dealing with my mom who's battling the same issue. So there pretty much was my push behind me. She supported me in everything I did. She encouraged me to go back to school, and just wanted to make sure that, like I said, I started so I can take care of her. So my goal is to try to provide the residents the type of quick care that I would want my mom to receive. So.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm gonna say, my mom and my dad were a huge influence on me, and me going to school. A lot of people don't know I went to school first to be a dentist.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was pushed hard to become a dentist, and I had a family early, and my husband at the time persuaded me to go back into nursing because our son had really bad asthma, and I would spend hours in a hospital with him in emergency room. And so for me, going back to nursing school, it was specifically to work with babies, right? Because I wanted to have an impact on those parents, staying in the room all night caring for these babies. And then once I became a nurse, I found out about the older population, and my heart was there too. And so I would say my parents were a huge influence, but my children are definitely the piece that kept me going. I wanted to be someone my daughter could look up to. And I'm so grateful because now she's going to be a nurse and she wants to work here. So it's full circle. And I think that all of us here, people have had an impact on us, but the impact we're going to have on people too is going to be the amazing part.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just want to take the time, first off, to thank each and every one of you out of your busy schedules for speaking with me today and talking with me about these wonderful stories. And just thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I do want to thank everyone for actually joining us today for another edition of Luther Manor's Employee Spotlight. We will see you next time.